Each and every one of us has our own private spaces, our own private thoughts, and our own private truths. Some of them are big, some of them are small. I recall recently on Facebook, I saw a 1969 keg party that my friend posted on Facebook last week. You'd think that would not be a matter of tremendous judgment. I know none of us have any friends like that. But we now exist in what I think can be termed a culture of intrusion, where it's become normal to give out information, to get information. To me, I was first exposed to that in the most difficult day in my legal career. It was 1990, it was after the Gainesville murders. In Gainesville, Florida, 6 students were brutally killed by a serial killer. Those crime scenes were scenes of horror. They were unimaginable. They were things that you couldn't put in a movie. I had the honor of representing the families of those children to try to prevent the disclosure of those in public. Why would you disclose those? Who would want them? Well, turns out some members of the press did, some members of the press didn't. I know the New York Times wouldn't print it, but there are some tabloids that I think would have printed it. So I learned that intrusion can be severe, harm these families, etc. They were out to maintain the dignity and the memories of their children. So isn't that what privacy is all about? It's maintaining our dignity, our autonomy, our identity, and our solitude. Not give that away. Now, over here, there are these concepts that are not new. Gossip, jealousy, revenge, anger, shame. I know none of us have ever felt any of those. Suspect all of us have. But it's new in the new world. Gossip. We're hardwired to gossip. We've gossiped for thousands of years. Gossip used to be a good way to exchange information. You would learn about your tribe. You would learn about your potential mate. It was good information. And actually, you got to assess that information because you could see the person you're talking to. Today, you can't see the person you're talking to. You may not even know who they are. They may be anonymous. That's part of the impact of technology. Revenge, all of us have had the urge to seek revenge. But when it's the touch of a button away, some people do it. And we know that recent phenomena of revenge porn, where people who were friends, who were girlfriends and boyfriends, set out to hurt another human being, and they do so gravely. Now, these human impulses, curiosity, connection, convenience, fear, sure, we're curious. We seek connection. We want to belong. Convenience, why not? Let's do things the easy way. Fear, basic human instinct. Good for us sometimes. Now, what has happened with the evolution of technology? By the way, what's the first word of TED? Technology. Technology. Now, we have drones. We have cameras. We have location devices. We have things called stingrays that the police have that can download your entire cell phone when you broadcast it. And we have cell phones. We all have cell phones. Now, we're told that it has the power of an Apollo craft, and we all know it has more information in it than our mothers know. So we have accumulated more information, and we're disseminating it. Now let's talk about curiosity. I'll tell you what these images are. I told you I had the honor of representing the mothers and siblings of the Rawling victims. I also represented Dale Earnhardt's family, and within the last 5 years, the Don Branshaw, the trainer at SeaWorld, who died. I represented all these people in their effort to maintain the dignity of their families. Now, what was different? In the Rawling case, these were horrible serial murders. They were pictures of crime scenes, which none of us can imagine. Unfortunately, I had to see them. Dale Earnhardt, an international celebrity, died on the last lap at Daytona. People wanted to see those pictures of his autopsy. Now, what was different? In 1990, just dealing with newspapers. By 2001, I was dealing with websites. Websites like death.comm, whose business was to publish the autopsy photographs of celebrities. And I remember in the trial, the owner of death.comm was there, which, by the way, was a good thing, because he looked just like somebody who would own death.comm. And we're easily able to say, do you think this person would publish those pictures? Of course they would. So the technology had evolved so that you could instantly display these highly intrusive photographs. Dawn Branchow in 2010 died at SeaWorld. She was killed by an orca. There was an underwater video of her death. Now, none of you want to see that. Some people did. They sought access to it. Now, imagine in 2010 what would happen to a video. It would be on YouTube instantly. Instantly. And what could be more intrusive than a death video of your daughter? Now, the Branchow family were not celebrities. They were people who just wanted to mourn. This is highly intrusive. Now, I put curiosity here because curiosity in itself is not bad at all. Curiosity is good. It's how we learn. It's how kids learn. But curiosity, when it laps over into voyeurism, to looking at things that we wouldn't otherwise look at, but it's on the internet and available. We have to think about that very carefully. Connection. We all desire to connect. Traditionally, we sit down with our friends, we talk about our backgrounds, ourselves, we reveal things about ourselves. We used to do that with 3 or 4 people. Now we have, how many friends? Anybody got over 500 friends, 1,000 friends? We have friends. There are electronic friends. We are not quite as certain that they share the same reticence about publishing that information that we do. And furthermore, I know everyone has read their terms of service, right? Would everybody who's read their terms of service raise their hand? Okay. Nobody. And those who have, did you understand it? I don't understand it. So, well, I know what it does do, what that terms of service agreement, what I agreed to. I agreed to them giving that information to a lot of people I don't know, to selling it. So we keep in mind that it's not just our friends, it is thousands of different institutions that have an interest in either selling something to us or knowing something about it. Now, there are other connections that go bad. Ashley Madison. Ashley Madison, for those of you who don't know, and I'm glad you don't, was a website about cheating. It was supposed to facilitate cheating. Now, that's bad judgment. That's a bad connection. But even though they did that, did they really understand that that was going to be hacked and that everybody on the planet was going to see that information? Now, that's the new thing. What's new? Hacking. So if you think that information that you gave to a website about your health, or I hope not of Ashley Madison, could be public. It's a different world. Convenience. What's wrong with that? We all want things to be more convenient. So we buy things online, and when we buy things online, we disclose things. And we look things up online. We gain information. When we buy things online, we have very nice services that analyze what we're buying and predict the next thing we would like to buy. In fact, I think Amazon says they're going to send us the book we're going to buy next before we even buy it to save us the trouble. So we are disclosing this information which is being analyzed. And they're predicting our conduct. Nothing necessarily wrong with that. But also, one of the things that bothers me is someone is analyzing what I have looked at on the internet. I used to, when I do research, back when there were things like libraries and books, I would pull them off the shelf and I would read them. And I would put them back. And I don't think anybody necessarily knew precisely what I was reading or thinking. Now, since my web searches are obtainable, somebody knows what I'm searching, what I'm thinking. So if I've researched pregnancy, doesn't mean I'm pregnant, alcoholism, AIDS, what kind of information, what kind of interpretation are people making about what I'm thinking? Does it control your thinking to know people are looking at what you're researching? That's dangerous. Our First Amendment gives us not only the freedom to speak, but the freedom to be who we are. Fear. Fear is natural. This is a dangerous society. This is a dangerous world. There's terrorism. There's shootings at schools. We are willing to give up information about ourselves to be safer. And I'm fine with that. But how much information are we giving up and what are they doing with it? Well, would we give up information if we could prevent the next 9/11? Sure we would. Would we give up information to prevent a Boston bombing? Would we give up information to prevent a school shooting? Yes, we would. But this is imperfect. What they find out about us and predict about us may be just as imperfect as those big data organizations that predict what we buy. We ask government to protect us. The NSA Director, General Alexander, when asked that question, said, if you ask us to protect you, you're asking us to find a needle in a haystack. So how are we going to do that? We're going to look at the entire haystack. And of course, we are the haystack. There are imperfections. There are mistakes. What does this all bring us to? We have a culture of intrusion. We have a culture of intrusion, and there are several reactions we can have. Number one, we can just give up. We can acknowledge what the CEO of a major technical corporation said, you have no privacy anyway, get over it. Second, we can blame somebody. Good option. So let's blame Big Brother or blame big data. There's a third option, and that is, how about us? What can we do to appeal to our better angels? Not give up technology, but make it work for us, not intrude upon us. I have hope that we can do that. And why do I have hope? Because there's some other cultures, Europe, Latin America, others that have elevated dignity to a place that competes with the intrusion. We can do that, and there are polls that show 93% of us say we do care about what's done with our information. There are even 57% of us who have refused to give information to buy something. Isn't that interesting? So we can do it. I also have specific hope because I think the law will change. I think the law will change and can change because it has. It's not that long ago the United States Supreme Court decided that a cell phone couldn't be accessed without a warrant. And in the course of saying why, they said the intrusion into an individual's cell phone could be more dangerous than walking through their home. There's more information in there that discloses more about you than almost anywhere. Secondly, I have faith that there will be people who stand up to intrusion that help us set examples. That would be the Rawling family, the Earnhardts, and the Bradshaw family, that under great stress stood up. And lastly, how about us? Before we're intruded upon, can we appeal to our better angels and say that ultimately, we respect privacy. We respect the ability to control our own destiny, and that dignity is important to our culture. Thank you.